For me, I always treat France with a lot of suspicion, and especially at this time when they are facing hostility at the Sahel. To me, French is always to be treated as a suspect. They have never they've never had any good intention for the African continent. For them that can remember the Francophone countries and the kind of the atrocities France has committed in the so-called Francophones is of untold measure. Therefore, the question is why they are now thinking that they now need to start having some relationship with the so-called Francophones, greater than the fact that our foreign policy, our manner of doing things is diametrically um, um, different from what they have been doing. To me, it is because of the hostility they have faced in the Sahel and West Africa. They're now trying to look for new partners. Since Kenya became independent, France has never had such kind of a heavyweight interest in our affairs. But you can see all of a sudden now, they are trying to quote us and make us appear as their friends. Several questions arises from there in that France has never been a supporter of the intra-Africa unity agenda. They have never ever had a position on the integration of the continent. So the question is, how will then the continent be able to succeed in the so-called this new founded partnership? France has always treated Africa with a lot of selfishness, and the selfishness has been one-sided. That I'll only associate with you if I am having direct benefit to my people. You remember the atrocities caused, the assimilation of the French, the Africans to the French, the African assimilations. You can see the kind of the policies they have been perpetuating. On the question of the economic diplomacy and the sovereignty of our resources, again, we are running at a greater risk. Only when East Africa is rediscovering itself in terms of minerals exploration, all of a sudden, France has an interest in us. What is the fate of our resource, the sovereignty of our resources? Our minerals, how secure are they? And remember, we as the East African, and most importantly, as the country known as Kenya, we have not developed any tangible policy on how to secure our resource sovereignty, even as we invite others. You can see, even as we now discuss the association in the French, people are still dying in Bondo. They are still dying in West Pokot because they are still using drilling mole holes in search of minerals. And with France and her selfishness and the sophistication in the manner in which they exploit them, you think that we can match up the competition. I think this is a lie. The other question is issues of the geographical imbalance and the security of the continent. And I think it's Manzo who has just made a comment. The role France played in the genocide. To date, they have never found it fit for them to apologize to the Rwandese. And you know, they are coming on the African soil where our African brothers and sisters have faced serious atrocities to the magnitude of genocide, and they have never found it fit to apologize. I mean, how will the Rwandese, who are our partners, and who will be left with us when the French goes take all these issues? How will they feel when they see these Frenchmen on our soils? And then tomorrow we also want to expound on our diplomatic and socio-political and economic association with the Rwandese. How will they take us? So to me, Mr. William Ruto is a man who is trying to quote any person whom he thinks will be material in his re-election. So to me, I look at it in that perspective, Dibal, and I have no faith in this summit. I do not think that the summit is intended to help Africa in whatsoever manner. If it is intended to help Africa, how have they helped the Francophones? I don't know how many of you follow what Dr. Ricana says. Dr. Ricana speaks heavily about the French intrusion in Africa and their selfish, one-sided diplomatic policies, be it economic diplomacy, political diplomacy, or even the social diplomacy. They are so much one-sided. Unless they are benefiting, they cannot associate with any person. And then the question is, how do you put in a ring a 100, for example, giving an analogy, a 100 kg with a 10 kg person to fight in a ring? Will there be equality of arms? This is a mechanism of perpetuating the ongoing neocolonialism. It is an attempt to make us lose our social sovereignty, political sovereignty, and economic sovereignty. We must treat France with the suspicion that it deserves. France is not an ally who comes in good faith. He's not an ally who is looking for good partnership. He's not an ally who is interested in mutual benefit. It's an ally who comes bearing the Greeks' gifts. And we must treat him with the suspicion that it demands. But because we are in a situation of a regime that was described by Professor Munene Masharia as a regime that is headed by an individual who is seeking for self-validation, we are therefore, as a state, finds ourselves in a situation where a lot of this international relationship will be messed up. It will be upon the next regime to remedy all the wrongs that this regime is initiating. Again, Dibal, as I sum up, it is not proper for us, and I have heard so many other speakers other than Western, and holding the view that it is not possible in the circumstances for us to say that there is anything good for Africa out of these conference. I hope tomorrow, if Suluhu comes, Mr. William Ruto will have the opportunity of confirming whether our country is one that is founded on the principles of the rule of law and constitutionalism, or we have simply become a pariah state. I say so because I am expecting a response from the host president confirming whether the Bill of Rights contained in our constitution was suspended, whether it is alive and well, in regard to the call by Suluhu to punish or to meet with brutal force any person who attempts to exercise his democratic view in the manner prescribed by the Constitution. I hope an answer will be provided tomorrow. A confirmation will be placed on record. This is a country premised on the rule of law. Otherwise, I'm so humbled. We are still in a situation where our country requires to be redeemed and liberated, and we are pursuing that course with vigor, determination, certainty, focus, and ability. We are proceeding to attract good partnership from the people who believes in our cause.